Voter registration is in full swing in South Africa, in its third hour to be specific. Newzroom Afrika is placed across different parts of the country. We've got our reporters in KwaZulu-Natal, the Free State, Beja, and we've got the Eastern Cape as well, the Northwest. There you see Refilwe Siboko. Let's start with Karinda Jagmohan, who is in Umlazi, KwaZulu-Natal, for us. Karinda Jagmohan, because by and large today is about South Africans more so, and we are standing by to hear from some young people whom politicians are saying they will make or break this election. What are young people telling you?
Certainly, Dudu, good morning to you. I'm outside the Mangosuthu University of Technology, where over the past week, IEC representatives have been here setting up voter registration points because of the 5.3 million voters already registered in KwaZulu-Natal. Only 19% of that number were actually youth aged between 18 and 29. So there was a concern that there were not enough young voters registered to vote, but of course we expect those numbers to increase as we go towards the national election, with the IEC doing their work on the ground, especially new voters like the group of 18-year-old college students who joined, university students joining. Ketsa Kanile, thank you so much for speaking to us. Tell me, have you registered to vote this weekend?
Sanibona nonke babukela emakhaya lokhuluma ukhetha likhona ithemba phansi lemsing ngakubhalisela ukuvota. Into eyenza ukuthi ngibhalisela ukuvota kahle kahle ukuthi ngiwumuntu othanda ushintsho kahle kahle. Futhi nokuvota kuyaye kulethe ushintsho kakhulukazi emphakathini nala ngaphakathi esikoleni. Kuyaye kusize ukuthi abafundi begcine nje njengedingo zabafundi igcine sezenzeka, just like kwezinye izikhathi siyaholeleka nje ngakho ukuthi siyavota. Kwesinye isikhathi nezenhlala kahle la ngaphakathi nje masivotile sihlale kahle sinetheze ngoba phela sisuke si free ukuthi singakhetha ukuthi noma yiliphi iqembu ukuthi lisingamela ngaphakathi.
And you know, Ketsa, as an 18-year-old, this is going to be the first time you vote next year. Are you excited for it? What does it mean to you?
Ngizizwa ngijabule kakhulu ukuthi nami sengizoqala ukuvota njengomuntu omusha. Usho ukuthi nami engingakusho nje ngathi ngathatha nje ukuthi sekuyavela ukukahle kahle ngiyelinye lelunga lapha le citizen of South Africa mangasho ngokukahle kahle ngesilungu.
Thank you very much, Ketsa. Maybe I can ask your friend if you want to say about the importance of voting, sir.
The importance of voting is because esikoleni kuletha ushintsho, nasemphakathini kuletha ushintsho. That's why kumele sivote ukuze yonke into South Africa izoba right.
Thank you so much, gentlemen, for speaking to us. Well, Dudu, 18-year-olds especially, of course, they're going to be going into their first time to place their mark on a ballot paper next year. So that is why it is important for the IEC to be at universities like this one. Just earlier, we were speaking to another student who said they hadn't registered to vote. They didn't even know it was actually the time to register to vote. So they're also being introduced to this process for the first time in their lives as young people. So we do expect the number of that 19% to 5.3 million voters registered to change in the coming months up to the 2024 national election.
Karinda Jagmohan speaking to would-be first-time voters, the two that you've spoken to, saying that indeed they have registered. Okay, from hearing from young people to IEC officials in the Northwest, let's touch base with Refilwe Siboko. Refilwe, where you can tell us what the IEC there has observed, more so in terms of foot traffic.
Well, Dudu, of course, the IEC in the province has been conducting voter education program, visiting different schools in the Northwest province. This is also trying to encourage young people to register to vote for the upcoming 2024 elections. But let's touch base with Dr. Tumelo Ntlitiba. She is the electoral officer in the Northwest province. Thank you so much and welcome to Newzroom Afrika. Maybe before we talk about the voter program, it already looks like 3 hours after the opening of stations, there is some crisis happening in the Northwest province. Just give us an update on what is it that you are dealing with now.
Thank you very much. In the overall of 1,737 stations, up to now we could not open 3 of the stations, 2 in Mahikeng, in Veldefriede, and another one in Moepan. and Appelsdrive in Ventersdorp. It is the same problem in Appelsdrive that we experienced in 2021. However, we have now been assisted by the South African Police Service, and that station we hope to open in the next 30 minutes.
Maybe just for the sake of our viewers, the same problem that you experienced in 2021, just refresh our minds in terms of what is it that the problem you're facing.
Some members of the community are demanding reconstruction and development program houses, RDP houses as they are commonly known. And obviously the IEC has got very little to do with that type of service delivery. As a result, we could not access our station this morning because members of the community were threatening to bring down the tent. So we had to remove the temporary voting station and request assistance from the SAPS. But we promised now, after the 3 arrests, that the station is going to open. In Mooifontein and Mooipan and Veltevrede, we're waiting for a backup of the public order policing to assist us to open the station, because what happens at the happened at the two stations is that some members of the community that are obviously not known used a big padlock to lock the 2 schools, so we could not gain access into the school. And we hope that those 2 stations will also open. In Itireleng, in Taung, the person who had the key, Mr. Mudise, did not want to open the station for us because he said that there was a demand for roads. And of course the IEC doesn't give that type of service to the public. We took a gazebo and worked outside with the help of the SAPS, and that station was open on that account.
Let's talk about then what the IEC does, voters education program, and particularly focusing on the young people. How have you been enticing young people to register to vote?
We have been going to schools because we have a special project that is called the School Voter Education. We have been going to tertiary institutions in a registration drive, and we have had a thought leadership seminar with students from tertiary institutions in the province to prepare them for participation in electoral democracy in general and in the registration weekend in particular. We also have appointed 183 young people that we call democracy education facilitators, who are our foot soldiers in the literal meaning of the word. They group young people together to talk to them in what we call youth meetings, to encourage them not only to register but also to participate in voting when the time comes next year.
And maybe the total number of verified registered population, how many new registration are you anticipating?
You know, our target for the province is 62,186. We're hoping that we will get 65. So far, we are just below 34,000 short of the official target. And we still have a few months before the end of the financial year. But we hope that this weekend we will be able to register, say, if we're lucky and we go by 10 new registrations per station, we are anticipating about 1,700 new voters, just below 2,000. But, you know, it'll all depend on whether young people go to stations or not. While we are opening stations for young people and other voters to come and register, we also have online registration going on. So we hope that we will be able to reach that below 34,000 target or even go beyond it.
Thank you so much for your time. Dr. Tumeleng Tletiba, just concluding the to do with issue of online registration, but also was giving us an update of some of 3 voter registration stations that there were a bit of interruptions that are happening there, but he was also confirming that they have been able to monitor that, or rather deal with that situation because SAPS officials were able to intervene.
Thank you very much, Refilwe Seboko. So the Northwest anticipating some 17,000 new voters this weekend at least. Let's take a look at what's happening in Gqeberha in the Eastern Cape. We go to Newzroom Africa, Siposetu Boy, who's in the CBD of Gqeberha. Siposetu, you standing by to speak to young people whom we have heard a lot about, more so during this weekend, about how they hold the power essentially.
Of course, Duduzile, and if only we could get those young people in the CBD, that would be great, to try and get a sense of where they are, whether or not they've registered to vote, and also where their stance really is with regards to voter registration weekend leading to the 2024 elections. We're outside Home Affairs in the CBD, and of course, just examining inside, I've seen, young people there within the institution itself to go collect their identity documents. Some are accompanied by their parents as well. So the conversation really within the institution itself, inside with those people, it's just an issue of going to register to their nearest VDs later on in the day, because they first have to come inside to do, the collection and all the paperwork that is required. However, it's business as usual in the CBD in Gqeberha, in this particular area, and you will know that this is a Molly Blackburn area. Also, number of registration of the people here came from this particular metro during the 2019 elections, but currently now there's a slow pace of young people moving in and around the CBD itself, and it's just cars of family members just within the metro just going about their business. So it's going to be an interesting day, considering the fact that it has been a slow start for the Gqeberha area, and currently now we are just sitting over 26 million as far as the voter registration is concerned within this particular metro, and we'll be going to the New Brighton KwaZakhele area, and hopefully there those VDs have at least young people that we can engage with to speak about the importance of the registration weekend leading to the 2024 elections, as many of the political party leaders have said that the voter registration weekend is really one that's purely not really dedicated to young people, but there's an interest and appetite of leaders wanting to see young people vote at the next coming elections, considering the fact that many of them, in particular Nelson Mandela Bay, are finding themselves unemployed. Some are joining gangs in different areas of the metro, but most importantly, some also are struggling with substance abuse, and crime is at its highest peak in the Nelson Mandela Bay metro, and many of those crimes are committed by young people, Duduzile. So, going to these different areas of the metro, especially townships, it will give us a sense of where some of these young people are, and also what potentially the Democratic Alliance, the African National Congress, as well as the EFF, since they're the three most powerful parties within this establishment of the Nelson Mandela Bay region, could do to make sure that they reach out to these young people who have said that the Eastern Cape young people are left behind by some of these leaders, so they need inclusion as far as the 2024 elections. So from this point on, we'll be moving towards the township just to get a sense of what the situation currently is in those areas to do.
Okay, Siposetu Boy, thank you very much for that comprehensive update. Let's touch base with Newzroom Africa's Junior Khumalo, who's at the IEC offices in Centurion. This because, Junior Khumalo, we are expecting an update from the IEC come the afternoon. So far, what Newzroom Africa has been able to pick up from where Refilwe Seboko is in the northwest, some irregularities this morning. Foot traffic not so great in the Gqeberha CBD, but there is an online option in terms of registration. Junior Khumalo.
Indeed, Dudu, we heard our colleague Refilwe speak about the challenges in 3 voting stations where those voting stations could not open on time. We know that voting stations were all supposed to be open from 8 o'clock until 5 p.m. this evening, and there were those challenges in the northwest. We're not sure whether the similar challenges of service delivery protests keeping individuals away from voter registration stations have been experienced in other parts of South Africa. So we are waiting to get an update from from the IEC CEO, Mr. Sai Mamabolo. We also heard the EFF leader, Julius Malema, at about 9 a.m. this morning, speaking from Soweto, talking about the need for tolerance, especially among political parties. He said there should not be any area within any township that is a no-go zone for any party. He said that all the political parties should be allowed to vote in every region. We know that leading up to the 2021 local government elections, there were some areas where, especially in KZN, the ANC was not allowed to go and campaign by the IFP, and also vice versa. The ANC did not allow the IFP to go and campaign in some of those areas. So he said all political parties should be allowed to campaign in all these areas to try and attract especially younger people to come and register so that they can vote in next year's elections. So we expect the IEC CEO to also touch on that. Has there been any intimidation that has been experienced? Are there any challenges faced in the over 23,000 voting stations in South Africa? We also expect an update on the voter management machines. These are the electronic machines that the IEC is using to register South Africans. So we also expect an update on that, because last year we know that in 2021 actually, we know that the IEC did give an update following those elections, saying about 32,000 South Africans were affected by the malfunctioning of those machines. But on Wednesday, the IEC CEO, Mr. Saima Mabolo, did give an update saying that there has been an improvement in those systems, in the system that operates those devices, and some of those devices can work even in areas where there is load shedding. So we do expect that briefing to start in less than 45 minutes, and we will be there to give you a full update, Dudu.
Absolutely. Junior Komalo, let's say thank you, coming to us from Centurion in Gauteng.